Before we get started, if you wanted to check us out on audio, you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you go. If you are on iTunes, be sure to rate and review us. That really helps. If you want to help us out even more, you can check us out on patreon.com/volume1pod.
So they're in their room together, but, he's playing it cool. He's playing it. Go ahead.
Fully cool.
Oh, my God. Can we get a count?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we usually review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. But today, we're doing something a little different yet again. My name is Josh Horny Michaels. And today, as always, I am joined by...
Megan Guitar Parade.
Oh, that was a good one.
Oh, Cody Fully Decker. See,
Yeah.
I thought one of you guys was going to say
I was going to
Fully.
leave it for you.
Yeah.
Well, I was okay, you say Fully, then I can say Cooley.
Oh,
Yeah.
can we do it again?
No, we cannot.
Okay.
Thank you for watching and listening. Today, we are going to be talking about Season 1 of Fooly Cooley. Back when I watched this originally, there only was one season out. Now there's 3 seasons, but we're not here to talk about that or the manga, which apparently, according to Cody, is completely different from the anime. We're here to talk about the anime. I remember watching this anime when I was in high school and not getting it then and not getting it now. But I'm curious to know, before we start going through the anime specific moments, what did you guys expect going into this? Had you guys seen it before, heard of it, or both, or neither?
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, you can't not be in the anime
True.
community and not know or hear about Fooly Cooley once in your life. And I've always heard that it's like one of the best things ever, and like you have to watch it, like one of those key parts of growing in your anime bones. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But
More like your studio bones.
Studio bones.
Oh.
But yeah, everyone was just like, you haven't watched Fooly. I'd tell people, you haven't watched Fooly. You have to watch it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Eventually, and I never got around to it, but now we're here.
Was it animated by Studio Bones?
No, I was
gonna
making
say.
just the
I didn't think
connection.
it was. But you said that, and I was like, maybe I didn't do as much
No.
research as I thought I did.
But the none other than Fujimoto said this inspired him to do Chainsaw Man.
I guess I could kind of see that
He
in
said
the
this was
revving of the guitars.
He wanted to do a take on it, and Chainsaw Man was his take on that kind of story.
Yeah, I mean, Fooly Cooley has inspired a lot of people and is inspired by a lot of other things. Like, there's a lot of South Park references in Fooly Cooley and a lot of pop culture references.
Yeah, like a lot of Western references. And like I was researching too, like we all watch the dub instead of the sub.
Mm-hmm.
And like going into the dub, they really made some changes in like some of the things that they say. Like at one point he says like, oh, you got my Hustler magazine. I told you to get the Pamela Anderson one or whatever.
Yeah.
Or what was it? It was Pamela. Was it Pamela? I think it was someone. But
it's very important that you get the name of that adult entertainer
Is it
correct.
Nicole? Yeah, I don't know who it was, but it was pretty funny. Oh, Anna Nicole.
Yeah.
And they changed that. Obviously, that's not in the Japanese
Funny enough,
version.
there's a term for that. It's called a woollyism, and every dub they usually bring their own. Like for Simpsons dubs, every language they like make their own jokes and stuff to be culturally like relevant to what they're doing. So like with Shrek. The Spanish dub, the guy who does the dub is like a famous Spanish comedian, so he makes a lot of like references to like his work and stuff.
Except for in Jujutsu Kaisen, even in the Japanese version, they were talking about Sebastian Stan. Is his name, right?
Sebastian Stan.
Still such a weird celebrity.
And he was like, "Oh," he's like, "That's crazy."
Yeah, you
like,
showed us a video of him reacting to it, and I was like, first of all, what is he wearing? And second of all, he seems like he doesn't really know how to react.
No, he's just like, okay. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
someone
think he,
mentioned you.
Yeah, I don't think he understands like the
I'm in
scope
movies.
of how huge it is.
And he says those like vague things where he's just like, "This is such an honor."
Yeah,
Okay,
I had no
all right.
idea
He
about it.
could have been
at
shown
all.
a YouTube animation that someone made. Like, oh, they say you're cute. He's like, thank you.
I'll take it.
I upon rewatching this was just as confused as I was the first time. Again, like its animation, style, and quality still holds up to this day, stands out. It's so beautiful. It's so well done. But as far as like a plot, it is hard to follow. And for someone like me who struggles finding deeper meanings in things, I constantly sit there while watching it and wonder, like, what am I missing? What am I not understanding?
My this was my friend's like only anime he watched, but it was like his favorite like show. And he made me watch it a couple times. So like One of my favorite shows is Xavier Renegade Angel, and it's similar in like everything happening is like a metaphor for something.
Yeah.
Well, I like the mangaka or like the creator, the director. This was like a direct quote from him from Otakon, like 2001 or something. He said with I can never fucking pronounce
Neon
it.
Genesis.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh wow!
That was the worst way you could have pronounced that.
Evangelion. I like it better.
Evangelion.
Yeah. He said there was like a feeling of like you have to be smart to understand it. Like you have to comprehend all the nuances and all of the plot details and what the characters are going through. With this one, it's like okay to like not fucking understand what's going on. Like it's completely
basically
different.
It's about a kid warning about maturing and about like the way my friend put it is like the message he got from it is like the most immature thing you can do is try to be mature.
Yeah. And I really do like that. And I've heard too when people talk about the meaning behind this series, a lot of people
I will not give my friend his name.
You should have just said it came from you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a liar.
When the cameras are on.
Oh.
Yeah,
we'll talk about this. We want to talk about honesty and fulfilling deals.
We'll get to it. But yeah, I mean, so many people put their own meaning onto to this because of how sort of abstract it is. And I think, again, the animation holds up. But what is kind of crazy to me is hearing the director or the creator say that, like, there are clear themes. It's clearly about maturity. It's clearly even about puberty. But for the director to also say, like, yeah, but it's also kind of about nothing.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, like, how many people are projecting meaning onto things versus, like, this actually meaning something.
Totally. Like, in interviews, he's been like, they're like, why is there baseball? Is baseball a key thing? Or, like, why is this? Why is that? Why is there cats and blah, blah? And he's like, I just like it.
Yeah.
That's, like, his main reason. He's like, I like these things, and I put them in, and it was fun. And
it's
that's
like,
it.
Like looking for meaning in the like baseball specifically, but then they do keep saying like you have to get up to bat, you have to take a swing. And it's like, okay, well clearly that is a metaphor for something.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem is that I feel like if you dissect anything enough, you can kind of do that, right? You can find a deeper meaning in anything if you really, really look for it, but how much of it was intended? And sometimes it's accidentally meaningful, right? But yeah, there are clear things too with him, when he's a character who wants to be mature, but is also very immature. And that's shown by him, like not wanting to grow up and drink, he still drinks the same, like, what is it? Sweet drink that he always drinks.
No, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite in that he's drinking that to seem more adult.
No, he's drinking like bitter coffee.
Well, at a certain point, he's drinking bitter coffee. Yeah. But in the beginning,
he's like, "Don't give me that sour stuff," and they're just like, "Drink it." And he's like, "No."
Yeah. Someone's telling him like to put sugar in your coffee, and he's like, "I don't like it. It's too sweet."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and there is like and again, we'll go more beat by beat, but even there are things like with the eyebrows and stuff, things that are being put on him, and literally put on him, but also put on him metaphorically. And I think like it does have a lot of meaning, but. Yeah, so we should start breaking it down. We're going to try, we usually do manga reviews here on this channel, but we're going to try to break down each episode or go through each episode as if they're sort of chapters in a manga. The manga, by the way, is also very interesting too because it is completely different from the anime, and it does have the same characters in it, but they went a completely different direction. And from what I could find online, like a lot of people aren't really huge fans of the manga version of this story. The art is a little more crude, whereas in the film it's obviously a lot more refined and it's smooth, and they do bounce around from style to style. But I think if you're going to talk about Fooly Cooly, you have to talk about the anime. You can't just talk about the manga. So episode 1, and you're going to have to help me. Because again,
it's just stuff about baseball, and then you're introduced to the main character who like is being fawned over by a girl, and he does not care.
Yeah, and I was like, the age difference threw me off guard. I was like, oh, they're just friends, and then she was like all up on him. I was like, oh, okay. And then you find out kind of what the relationship is and how they're connected, and how she's like projecting her loss of his brother, you find out, is in America doing baseball, and they used to be together and now they're not, and she's like, next best thing.
Yeah.
12-year-old brother.
Yeah. Because how old is she again?
She's 16.
16 and 12. Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And he's just like, he just takes it. He's like, okay, I guess this is fine.
Yeah, and this series makes me feel nostalgic in a lot of ways too, with the music and right when it opened.
Mm-hmm.
This has probably my favorite soundtrack in an anime.
Oh, absolutely. It's so good. And, it does remind me, I think it came out on like Adult Swim a long time ago. It does remind me of that place I was when I watched it. And even just the aesthetic of the show is very nostalgic.
Totally.
And so even when it opens up with her and she's like smoking cigarettes and everything, it's when I was younger and I was smoking cigarettes. It just reminds me very specifically of a time. It's still, like I said, beautiful, but she's smoking a cigarette. What's written on the cigarette again?
Never knows best.
Never knows best. Just such an emo thing to do, though.
Yeah.
Right on your cigarette.
She says a lot of things that I'm like the whole poem. Well, that's later on in like a couple episodes later, but she has a whole poem of things that are like unpleasant or like things that she doesn't like rain on a Sunday morning and all this other shit. And I was like, okay, this has meaning, right? This is meaningful. But then she just gives him hickeys, I guess. I don't know what it's very their relationship is very confusing to me because it's like, does he like her? Does he not like her? Like, it's very like touch and go, but I'm like, she is also like 16 years old. I don't know how much of that she takes seriously. And you kind of see that later where she's like thrown off guard at his confession of love, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's toying with him, but obviously as well, like at this point, like from even the first episode, like because he mentions his brother, I get the feeling that he respects and looks up to his older brother and kind of wants to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can't, play baseball, then I guess by getting a girl who likes his brother to like him, that validates him maybe, or gets him one step closer to being like his brother. I don't know. But then
she also calls him by his brother's nickname.
Yeah, so weird, man.
So yeah, it is. But also he doesn't really have anything else.
Yeah,
as far as relationships, so
yeah,
it is just sort of a sad thing that these two people.
It really is, and you find out later, like probably why she's leaning on him so much, not because of the brother thing, but also she's getting like bullied at school, so she doesn't have any friends her own age, so she just hangs around this 12-year-old kid that's always kind of been in her life.
Yeah, and it's kind of ambiguous if she even was dating the brother.
Oh yeah,
you don't see any. It just shows that like her brother was nice to her.
Yeah.
And we do find out something about the brother later, too, that even makes you question it more.
Yeah, and it is just like she was just obsessed with his brother.
Yeah, she's an obsessive person for sure. And she's very childish, too. Like, she's not like your typical... I mean, high schoolers are like still kids, but she's very much like in a childlike state of mind with like the game that she plays and how it like affects her life so much. But then we meet the main character, which like watching this, it was like... totally like nostalgic, and we all watched the dub, and it's just so over dramatic, like so Looney Tunes, like so anime, like the most anime you could ever watch is Fooly Cooly. Like it's like so insanity, like it's hilarious.
But the dub holds up too. I mean, I think, and I know it's subs versus dubs, whatever, but I think that like the dub is really good. Dubs from that time, I feel like, were notoriously bad.
Yeah, I know.
And rewatching it, I was really surprised at the nuance that the voice actors were able to get across.
Yeah.
But yeah, we meet the main character,
and then you meet a classic pink-haired waifu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and she definitely is just at some point in the series just in waifu, a waifu outfit for the sake of being in it.
Oh yeah, no, that's a callback, I think, to one of the anime that they first produced, like the studio. It was like a really old anime, and there's a girl in a bunny suit, and she's fighting, and she has the exact same outfit, and they also do it in Neon Evangelisto.
Oh boy, I do kind of like it though.
I like how I can't limit stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's like a callback to that, and totally like the cosplay community is just like bunny suit, a character in a bunny suit. It's actually canon. Yes, let's go. Yes, perfect. Yeah. But she is insane. Like it's such a crazy character. You never know what she's gonna do next, and like why the motorcycle.
It's a Vespa.
Oh, Vespa.
It is a Vespa.
Why Why the Vespa?
She said that as if, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And she just punches me like, oh, good, thank you.
But the Vespa, like, why that triggers what we see later on with him. I'm like, I'm not. Is what? Huh?
So like if it is like there is no meaning to it, then I guess there's nothing to talk about. But like if there was gonna be the meaning I saw, which is like he sees a cute girl and then he gets like it feels like he got knocked upside his head, and then he starts growing a thing that causes all these thoughts to come out of his head, and all these new feelings that he has.
Yeah, and another way.
But if the thing is like, well, it doesn't mean anything, then I guess I have nothing to talk about.
Another way that I've seen it sort of explained is that, when that horn starts to come out of his head, instead of dealing with it and trying to figure out, either how to fix it or just accepting it, he does just try to hide it. His first reaction is to just hide it. So I think that could also be saying that when you're kind of going through those things, you don't express it to people. You don't try to figure out what's going on. You just try to hide from it.
Yeah, he represses it, and then something will trigger him to be like, and then it like he can't help but erupt.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the girl says in the beginning, like, I'm gonna overflow or something like that.
I have to do this or I'm gonna overflow.
And I'm like, okay, all right.
Like, okay, calm down.
We all know what overflow means.
Go smoke another ciggy, okay?
Yeah, I mean, so again, like, to kind of talk about what you're saying, Cody, that it doesn't mean anything. Like, I think obviously it does, but I think it can also mean so many things to so many different people. But either way, she runs him over on her Vespa, and then to try to like wake him up, she hits him over the head with her bass guitar, right?
Bass guitar. Yeah. She hits him probably 3 or 4 times, and the other girl's like, "Stop! Like, stop hitting him!" And he's just like flapping around, and it's so insane. And even she's like, "Don't touch him, because I just run him over."
Yeah,
and he's all fucked up.
And that's what kind of starts everything.
Yeah.
He goes home. He has this bump that's not a normal looking bump. It does look like a geometric sort of like horn with a square. It just aesthetically it looks kind of cool. Like, it looks really cool. It's not a pointy horn. It's like a square horn. It tries to push it back in.
Which you think is way cooler than a pointy horn.
Oh, dude, if we're talking horns, dude, yes. I need a flat horn, dude. Oh. Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just like Fooly Cooly, you can put whatever meaning you want into that.
Oh. So funny. Like, he comes back home and he's like, that was fucked up. And then she's just sitting in his living room eating with his family, and the whole manga sequence that we see. And apparently that was like super hard to do for the studio. And they're like, please don't make us do that again. And then they do it again, and they even say that in the anime. They're like, yeah, we can't do that anymore, so we shouldn't do that. It's really hard. And they're like, just stick to anime. And he's like, what? I like the fourth wall breaking stuff. They do it quite often, and I'm like, oh, I'm always a fan of that. I always like that. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Like, when I want to believe that, but like, I wonder if it's just like a something meta for the sake of like being meta, or if it actually was hard for them to do that, because
I don't understand how that's harder than animating.
Same.
I don't get how showing like some,
especially those animations.
It was apparently like they told him like that was one and done, and then he just did it again in like a couple episodes later, and they like mentioned that. I have to find the article that I read it on, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why would that be harder? But I guess it was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I kept thinking about it, because I mean, not that I'm an animator, but I kept watching it like, how is that harder when they're literally having these epic fights and these like detailed movements? I'm like,
but like showing a still image
over and over again.
And I'm positive someone's gonna correct us in the comments.
You assholes.
Yeah, and we get the fucking Fooly Cooly. They finally say it.
Oh, they say it a lot.
He's like Fooly Cooly, and he's like, "What is Fooly Cooly?" And they're just like, "They're Fooly Cooly." Like, oh, the dad's
like a different. It's used in a different context
every time.
Episode.
Yeah, you think it's like a sexual thing, but then it's not, and then it is, and then it's not. I'm like, oh, what is happening?
The one that always stuck in my head, because he has like dreams that are like, pretty. There's stuff going on. Like, someone tells him, you're Fooly Cooly because you're trying too hard. So it's like, you're a fool for trying to be cool.
Ah.
So that was the one that likes, because they do it a lot.
Yeah.
But like, that was just the one that stuck in my head.
Yeah, at some point, and I think in the very first context where they're using it, it does mean like sex or like.
Yeah, the dad is saying Cooly a lot, and because they're like, "Oh, did you grope her? Did you like that whole manga sequence is them just talking about like groping girls?"
Yeah, the dad is fucking creepy as fuck too.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's another thing. Is the dad actually creepy, or
is he just putting on a fucking?
Or
show?
no, because I mean, wasn't he replaced by another thing?
There's a reveal.
Yeah.
And, that was weird too.
And he mentions like, "Oh yeah, she hit me with a Vespa too."
Yeah.
Right
away. Yeah.
And that's why she's here.
The housekeeper.
But yeah, she has hit the father and the son with a Vespa.
Yeah. And so that's why, she comes to their house and becomes their housekeeper. And she only she is very, in the first episode, it seems like she's very taken by, what's his name? Yaguchi, right?
Takun.
Yeah. She's very taken by him. And she keeps saying like, "You're the first one I saw.
You're the first one I saw. Your head is the only one that works."
Yeah.
Like very much so, like giving him validation for just being a kid. And again,
he acts like a boy when he's like, "Shut up, I don't like that." But
yeah,
then he likes
he
that.
blushes.
Yeah. And it's like two older women. I guess this kid just has to fucking.
Yeah, he's killing.
He's killing it. But then we like my other favorite part. I was like laughed out loud when she's like he's talking to Mamimi and he's like, "Are you sad about what happened with my brother?" And then they cut to her opening the letter and seeing that he has like an American girlfriend, and she's like, "No, an American girlfriend, how sad!" And it's just like so. It was funny.
That's why I think that's the point that I was saying that another reason why it could have just been her obsessing over him, because he has a girlfriend. Like if they were dating, like he would maybe be writing her or something. But
he wrote to his brother.
Yeah, not
then,
that's
she like saw the letter.
He said like, "Did he write to you?" Like, no, he probably didn't. And she's like 16, so is he in college? Like,
I think in Japan, like he would be.
Yeah. But I think they graduate at like 17 or something.
Yeah,
like
I mean
2 years of high school or something.
Yeah, the brother like never really comes into never comes into the picture at all. But I do like that.
I kept expecting him to like do the big like, "My brother's back in town." He's like, "Hey, little bro."
Yeah.
But no, he's in America.
Hey, little bro.
But I like that too because I don't know, it just creates always this it makes him working towards being more like his brother more. There's more of it's more vague and there's more of a mystery around it because we don't know anything about him. We just know that he's good at baseball.
And we know that like he's like obviously sad that his brother left him, and that makes him more like inclusive to be like, yeah, this fucking town sucks. Like he got out, I'm not out, I can't get out. I feel like I'm never gonna be able to get out. And he doesn't really like want to. It's like he does and he doesn't, but he sees his brother like living this other life, and he's like, "Fuck, I wish that were me."
Yeah. His town is surrounded by fog, so.
Oh yeah, the medical facility that we see.
Facility that looks like it. Even right away, I'm like, "Is that an iron?"
I did not get that at all until the very end. I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting architectural building. What's going on there?" And it didn't click for me, the iron thing.
Yeah, something about this series too, and I don't know if it's just like this mysterious facility, the animation style, the time that it was released, but it really feels a lot like Kill la Kill to me. Just in it has a similar vibe.
Wacky, crazy animation and
And I don't know, again, like when it was something about you mentioning that facility made me think of that or remember that, but yeah, it's there. It's a mysterious facility. No one knows why it's there, and he keeps saying nothing happens in this town ever.
Even after getting a horn on his head, he's like, "This town fucking sucks."
Yeah. And then I think towards the end of the first episode is when the inciting incident sort of happens, right? Where or I guess not inciting incident, that was him getting hit by the Vespa, but where he has, thank you, Cody. Thank you, Cody. I have to learn out loud. The girl who's obsessing over his brother starts saying like, I'm gonna overflow, I'm gonna overflow, and then turns into this some sort of monster bio kind
robot
of yeah. But insectoid looking sort of thing. And to fight her, he turns into a robot with a TV.
Yeah, it comes out of his head, and then he's like attached to it, and they're like fighting, and his body's just like flinging around. I thought that was super funny.
The horn actually, like, basically as it comes out, turns into a finger, which turns into a hand, and all that is like so fluid and so beautiful. And yeah, he's hanging on there. And again, aesthetically, the show is amazing. It's beautiful. The colors, the designs, like it's so awesome. And just like when you see it, it's just cool. It oozes.
It's fully cool.
Oh, it's fully cooly.
It oozes a coolness. You know?
I had a hard time focusing on it though.
Same.
Like
Once the robot came in.
Yeah, I had a hard time focusing.
You started overflowing.
Yeah, I was gonna overflow. No, honestly, like first, I just like get like really like I don't know, like a lot of sounds at once or like a lot of things happening. I'm like I can't focus and I get like really like anxiety. Like I felt like anxiety sometimes watching this because I could not understand what was going on. I'm like, what's okay? Pause. Okay, stop.
Same. And we're gonna talk about it later because there was one episode during this season that I like checked out hardcore, and I'm gonna need your help walking me through that episode. And it's only because like you're saying you have a hard time following or staying focused when all these sounds and things are happening. For me, it's like if I have nothing to latch onto, like story wise, if I feel lost, if I feel like I'm not understanding what's happening, my brain just starts going other places because I get so frustrated. Every time something random happens, I'm like, okay, now what did that mean? And my mind goes somewhere else. So there was one episode where I checked out hard, but then I came back. Yeah. And that's the school play episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an episode that I actually kind of was following because it did have like a clear.
That had a very clear beginning.
Yeah, so that's
and
why
an
it's
end.
weird that was like probably the one thing that had
was the most cohesive.
Yeah, but maybe it was coming
episode.
off of some of
the other episode.
So not
before.
that episode then.
No, it was that episode, but because of the random and craziness that was before it, I had like maybe given up, and then maybe the cohesiveness started to bring me back in. You know.
Okay.
But yeah, so then they fight, and
every time they fight, there's a really cool song that plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it's the same song that's in the intro, the opening, or is that a different song?
I couldn't tell you, but he does have a theme song that's called like Awaken or something, and it's relevant to the themes of the show.
Yeah, like you said, every song in this soundtrack is amazing. And they fight, and he basically at the end of the fight he defeats the monster, whatever it is, and she is reverted back to her true form, and he is reverted back to his form, but now the robot is like separate from him.
Yeah, and now they just have a robot.
And he's so cute. The robot was so cute. He's just like doing things, and the dad's like, why wouldn't I have him working out here? Like, if you think about the complexities of having a robot and having a bread shop, and he's just like going off, and he's like kind of like a conspiracy writer, you find out. Like, he writes zines for the community about like the injustices of the town or whatever the fuck, and he's just very like professor-esque, like crazy professor or whatever.
And then you also find out that the girl asks for day-old bread.
Yeah.
And, and she doesn't really pay for anything, and it's kind of, I think she's homeless.
I don't know.
The girl who was obsessed with his brother?
Yeah. Because she's kind of just always at the riverbank.
Yeah.
Never really put that together.
Maybe a runaway or something. But the grandpa doesn't like her. That's all we know.
Well, yeah, and we should say too that I guess the main character lives with his dad and his grandpa, and he doesn't have a mom too. So I think that
it's just a dude's house.
It's just bachelor pad, guys being guys. And I think maybe that does play into like him, having such a hard time dealing with women. I mean, he has no like motherly figure in his life,
and his fatherly figures are pretty immature.
Yes,
I mean he plays it pretty cool though. Pretty cool. Pretty
Never stop making that.
He plays it pretty cool though. I mean, like he's like a funny kid. Like most kids would be like sometimes he is, but usually he's just like, why are you dressed like that? He's like, put some clothes. Like he's just very annoyed. Yeah, he's very annoyed.
I feel like that's a more real representation of how like most boys act. Like most boys aren't running around like, oh my god, oh shit, like dropping stuff everywhere.
Yeah, he's 12.
In their mind they are though, but
in their mind they are, and in his mind he is too. Yeah. But outwardly, he's just very much like, yeah, it's like whatever.
Yeah, he wants to be cool so bad.
And some of us do that in our 30s.
Oh.
Like, yeah, it's like whatever. But in our mind, we're like, I hope she fucking calls me back.
I mean, do you do the whatever part?
I hope she hits me with the vespa.
I've only seen the second part. I'm not aware.
All right.
I've only seen the Foolie. I've never seen you be Cooley.
Oh.
Wow. And I've only seen you act coolly.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
I am pretty cool.
Cold is what I meant, but sure.
No, that's not what you said.
Anyway, moving on after that.
And then we see the end of the episode when she finally gives him, like, offers him the drink, the sour drink that he doesn't like. He just looks at it, and before he said no, and then he just chugs it because he's like, I need to grow up.
Yeah. And then also, it is like, oh, her lips touch this.
Yeah, indirect
There
kiss.
is definitely like the camera lingers on it, and you could tell that that's going through his mind.
Because I mean, at one point, the pink-haired girl, Haruko,
yeah,
like, she like just flat out says like, "Oh, I'm a representation of this,"
mm-hmm.
which I thought was pretty fun. So it is like outside of her. Like once she shows up, then he suddenly starts being like, "Oh yeah, I'll drink it."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it like just shows him like staring out like the lid.
Yeah, and I guess it should be mentioned too. I think this is maybe more in the second episode, but or it is in the first episode. But when she comes to live with them, like the dad is very like she tells the dad that they're in a relationship, that they
fully coolly,
that they fully coolly,
Yeah.
and the dad freaks out, which does in hindsight make more sense that he freaked out at that moment when he was actually the dad.
Yeah, she goes, we do
Mhm.
CPR.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Ooh, yeah."
Yeah, that's literally all he does.
yeah. And yeah, so they're in their room together, but he's playing it cool. The next episode, he's playing it. Go ahead.
Fully cool.
Oh my god, can we get a count?
Yeah, we'll get a count.
That would be pretty.
Don't abuse your power.
Yeah, don't abuse it.
I didn't say anything.
The next episode isn't the play episode, right? That's the third episode, or is that the second episode?
Yeah, this is where he goes to like a hospital to get his horn checked out, and they're like, "Oh, you've got like a void in your head."
Yeah.
Well,
what does that mean, Cody?
I don't know, but also
Because your void is in your heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what happens after life events. But it is a thing where if you were going to be against there being a symbolism, it is like, oh, there's like a void in his head where there's an X-ray, but it's like it's an X-ray, so it wouldn't show up because that's how X-rays work.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you can't really capture thoughts on X-ray. If you could, though.
yeah, unless they show your X gets an X-ray, then you show lots of thoughts.
Yeah. Megan, what do you think about that?
I have no comment. Cannot relate.
Yeah, she's impersonating a nurse and she's going around, and it's very funny. I think a lot of the comedic moments still work really well, even though it feels so random at times, but it is very funny. And like any comedy, I guess, or like most comedies, it does blur the line. What is a joke in the moment versus like what's actually happening in the world, because you think the nurse thing is a joke, and it is, but she has the doctor and the nurse tied up, and you're like, that's funny. But then like an episode later, he's like, you're still you never return the outfit. Everybody in town thinks you're a nurse, so it's like these have like real world ramifications, I guess.
Yeah, and then after that, he starts blushing around the girl more.
Yeah,
because in the beginning he's just like, I don't care, you're like, this is boring, while she's like caressing him and stuff, but now like he's starting to blush when she, he like, you just see like a shot of her lips, and then like that's when the horn will get bigger or something. That's what could that stand for?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
possibly.
That's something where it's like, that's all right, that's beyond me.
Yeah, that was the point where I was like, I'm gonna need some help, because I can't. I mean, I saw this like phallic, long too. It was very long.
From that erupting from a portal in his head where shit's coming out of, and he starts noticing girls more.
Yeah,
that's like, I'm sure that's probably the thing that means nothing.
Or if it does mean something, it means probably like life is beautiful or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's so nice. Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
For the record, we're joking. I'm just like, oh, there'll be a comment. It's like, actually, that stood for something.
Isn't that so funny that now we feel like we have to say that?
Yeah, we're
there
joking.
will be 4 comments. Yeah.
Clearly, it represents puberty. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no shit, dude. No shit. But yeah, so around this time too is when we're seeing that the robot is fighting on its own now without him. But when it's fighting on its own without him, it needs to like. It's a gray robot. It started red. I'm saying all this because
gray. It looked blue to me.
It looked blue to me,
or
too.
maybe blue.
Mr. Artist over here doesn't know.
It's honestly a bluish gray, but whatever.
Oh, what was the first word you said?
Bluish.
Okay. Oh, look at that. That's how we're designed.
You said
gray.
first gray. Yeah.
It's a grayish blue. Would that be better?
Would that still be a blue?
It would be. Colors are on a spectrum. Much like sexuality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
True.
I'll let you use that to escape.
Yeah.
and I feel like colors have some significance in this as well, because it's gray when he's on his own.
Oh my God, he said it again.
Oh, blue. Sorry. Blue. My bad. It's blue.
Where does gray fit in your color theory?
Well, I mean, absence of color or lack thereof. Dreariness. I would some sort of like sadness.
You should just become an English teacher.
Oh.
I mean, I feel like I'd be really good at it. Either that or like a youth pastor. I feel like I have the vibe for.
Mr. Michaels.
No, I would never want to be, but I just feel like people look
the
at
vibe.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Magic Michaels, and I'm here to teach you about God and magic.
No, they wouldn't
and
let
you're
him.
probably thinking, are they different? I think they're one and the same.
Exactly. And then I have an acoustic guitar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
that
I would
be turned into a dove.
Or it could just play. But
yeah, but you have to have like sandals, which you don't want to wear.
Why? I've never.
Youth pastors usually wear like sandals.
Never in my life have I ever seen.
I've never seen a youth pastor, so I don't.
Birkenstocks with the like guitar, and they always have like bracelets.
Never. I think
you seem like a bracelets guy.
No, absolutely.
I went to church camp like for fucking 4 years.
I mean,
5 years.
I mean, we just went to 2 different types of churches.
Well, mine was more laid back. I guess they were cooler.
I went to the Church of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. I haven't been to church in a very long time and don't plan on it going anytime
Amen.
soon.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Preach, brother.
Yeah, then we get another robot fight scene, which are always cool.
And the girl starts worshiping.
She's like,
idolizing.
Oh, yes, he's my god.
And he's red when he absorbs him. He turns red.
Yeah.
That was cool. I like that.
And he gets the jacket.
He gets the jacket. He there's a cannon now. He gets like, it's almost as if like when this robot absorbs him, he gets like a huge upgrade. So it seems like he needs him, whether that's because he came from the portal through his mind.
Two sides of him merge together. That's when it is the most complete. Whatever the TV robot could represent, maybe it's his naivete. Or mayhaps
naivete.
Wow.
I don't, Megan. Say just
naivete.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could teach English together, dude.
Oh yeah,
we could be the first duo
English team.
Yeah, we could be an English team.
We could, yeah,
we could.
Jesus Christ!
And again, the fights are cool, and I think this, it's fun to see these upgrades happen, and aesthetically, like with the jacket, it just looks so awesome. I'm not gonna say cool anymore.
We don't know why they're fighting yet at all. They're just robots.
Right.
They're just robots. I guess you kind of like, they're from this facility that we know nothing about yet. They're just kind of here. Are they like a threat to humanity? Like, what's going on? All we know that Haruko comes in every time and tries to defeat them with the guitar or tries to kill them off. So we don't know why.
Yeah.
At all. I don't even think we ever really do. But I was like, looking. I was like, okay, next episode they'll probably kind of talk about it a little bit. Maybe get some. No, okay, maybe next episode they might. Oh no, okay.
Well, I mean, they kind of do, but even
the robots usually emerge from somebody who's going through something.
Always, yeah. They're dealing with something.
With the girl, like it emerges when she finally overflows.
The other classmate with her parents and stuff, but she also gets hit by the Vespa too.
Yeah,
but Mimi, I don't think got hit by the Vespa.
I don't remember her getting hit by the Vespa.
No.
Maybe that has some meaning too. But after that, now we're in the 3rd episode where I kind of checked out, so I'm going to need one of you guys to take the lead.
Okay.
But it is the play, right? The school play. And the character that he's in the play with is just trying to get her parents' approval or impress her parents.
Yeah, her dad is the mayor of the town, right?
Yeah, and there's a scandal going on.
Yeah,
their marriage is...
Which I liked at the beginning of the episode, like the little girl sitting in the back of the, car and she's getting driven to school and the secretary's like, yeah, you're smart, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, you're pretty smart too because you brought a change of clothes from last night when you stayed over. And she's like, because so the dad's definitely cheating on his wife with this lady and she's dealing with that and the play's the only thing that she's holding on to because
they're both gonna be there.
Yeah, I could relate to that.
Yeah.
I have to do good because everyone's gonna be here. But she's definitely you have to come to rehearsal. And he's like, nah, what the fuck? I'm not going to come. he's just like this role that he was given does not want to do it because it's like a childish thing that he doesn't want to participate in.
He's got to play a cat.
Yeah, he's got to play Puss in Boots, which is like a really cool role. I don't know why he wouldn't want to do that, but
also another great excuse to have like cat ears, on characters.
Again with the Neko Mimis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always love all the moments with the robot in the episodes. He's like cleaning the dishes, just like little things like that. I'm like, this is so cute. He's so fun.
Yeah. I like the quote where he says like kids don't get to choose the adults in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was
yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're childish and shit, and
because he's talking about it where he is like, it's not her fault who her parents are and stuff. So he has like pretty like solid moments of maturity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to, it's another way of also saying like you can't like, your family sometimes doesn't really feel like family. Sometimes like it's that Fast and the Furious, like your friends are your family kind of thing, or those are the family.
Yeah.
That's the family that you get to choose.
It's funny that he does have like a perspective on her life. Like he's just like, yeah, she's probably going through a lot right now. Like most kids would be like, not even think about that, but he's the one that like sees her, and now they're all talking about the scandal, and she's like right there. And he's like, that probably affects her a lot, but I'm not gonna really do anything about it.
And about that family Fast in the Family thing, the phrase "blood is thicker than water" that meant the opposite of what people use it to mean, because the phrase is the blood of the oath is thicker than the water of the womb. And so
water of the womb.
And then like, because you do a blood oath, that matters more than like what you were born into. People then use that phrase to mean that your family matters more than your friends. Where the original phrase meant the exact opposite of what people use it for.
That's pretty
Fooly Cooly. That's Fooly Cooly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I beat you to it, Josh. I'm sorry.
Hey, all's fair.
You were faster, but you should have said it like that.
And that's Fooly Cooly.
And that is called another Volume 1 Slam Dunk.
Yeah. I also like the references to fucking like Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah, so many Western references.
So fun. But you find out later that she's just like sitting by herself, and he's like, hey, why aren't you in school? Or you're ditching class now, class president. And then that's where Haruko-chan comes in again, runs them both over with the Vespa, or actually just runs him over again. And she touches his ears because he's hiding those under the hat, which everyone's calling ugly. I don't think it's that ugly. It's just a tan bucket hat. What?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant the ears, and you were defending cat ears.
Oh, no, they're...
Yeah, people keep making fun of his hats, and I'm like, dude, these are like trendy.
Yeah, I know. He looks like a freaking hype beast.
Yeah, he looks like he's on TikTok.
He looks like someone trying to hide a haircut he doesn't like.
Oh, callback.
This pandemic was rough for all of us,
that
dude.
Was a callback.
And, whatever. Maybe I wear them because... people like me in hats. They don't.
Me and Cody are trying to get Josh to dye his hair blonde.
Yeah.
Because
right, guys?
in my head you're blonde, so you should just be blonde.
You should do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Dirty
blonde.
You
look like
not
Draken.
full on, but dirty blonde.
Yeah, I would look like Draken, sure, but also like I just feel like there's so many people that are just like dyeing their hair blonde, and I'm not a bandwagoner.
I mean,
that's not true at all.
That's very true.
I was going to say that with every hair color ever.
That's not true.
What about gray?
Nobody has purple hair right
gray?
Now. I do. I would love gray.
No, you
yeah, he did have the white, and he was like, I should dye my hair white.
Yeah. Actually, you would look good with white hair.
Thank you. Let me know in the comments.
And Megan would look good with purple hair.
Yeah, and Cody would look good with
a beard.
No. I disagree with
a beard,
that.
and everybody will tell you that.
You looked
a lot
fine
of
with
guys will tell me I look good with a beard. Which you know how that helps me? Not at all.
Maybe one of those guys will fuck you. Fingers crossed. I'm just saying, dude.
Goody. Yeah, so they kind of have a moment. She touches the ears, and she doesn't even think twice about them. She's like, what are these things? And Haruko's like, don't touch those. And she's like, oh, I don't feel good. And then she like passes out, and they go back to their house. She has like a USSR sweater, which I thought was interesting, but I found out like the author or the director like read a Russian book or something that he was a big fan of, something along those lines. But that's why it was there. I was like, why does she have a USSR? Like, what does she know about the USSR?
Yeah.
And they're eating, and the whole curry thing.
Yeah, the curry thing.
Where they're all trying to eat it. None of them like it. They're all in an incredible amount of pain. But
the dad likes it.
And, well, he's like, isn't he crying?
No, he's like sweating and crying. That's how I like to eat spicy food. Like, it's not good if your nose isn't running.
What I liked about this is I'm not a fan of spicy foods at all, which, funny enough, I got from my mom who was Mexican. So I got my distaste for spicy food from the Mexican side of me.
Shame.
Because it is just poison. There's no taste in spice.
Blood is thicker than Cholula.
Cholula!
The classic Latin.
Caliente.
Fresero.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and then the girl, the play girl, I mean, the girl in the play, she acts like she likes it, but at the end she's like, I have to go too. So it is like she's also putting up a front of maturity.
Yeah, everything they ask her, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
They're like, how do you feel about your parents? I mean, your dad's the mayor. I bet it's very hard for you. And she's like, it's not a big deal.
It's whatever.
Yeah, it's not a big
all,
deal.
Yeah, it's all these kids trying to grow up too fast and trying to be adults and trying to be mature.
And I turned against her because you find out she needs glasses, but she wears contacts.
And I knew that, yeah.
Yeah, another betrayer of the glasses life.
Yeah, I knew that would probably rub you the wrong way. That's why I really felt closer to. I gravitated towards her as a character. That's what brought me back.
I really did like
because she's fake. That's a good point. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's why you. That's when you were like, you kind of phased out because like, oh, I did it. This is who I am.
Right.
And then you started buying like merchandise to be like, I'm her because we're both fake.
No. It's actually because my enemies are we call them the opticals. We call them the opticals.
Optical op?
I don't know, guys. I'm struggling.
No, I like their moment though. Like in their room, she's like, "You're not gonna tell anyone about this." He's like, "Hell no! It'll give me shit." Like, no, I'm not gonna tell anyone about this. She's like, "Okay," and they're just kind of like friendly. And
she talks about why she likes the Puss in Boots character because he becomes what he pretends to be.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh,
and
someone's pretending to be someone who doesn't need to wear glasses.
Yeah, and she also
everybody is pretending to be something they're not in this show. It seems.
And she also cheated to get the lead, which I'm like, how do you cheat to get the lead?
Put in more votes or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the votes, like a vote system. That's what they do.
Yeah, and they're having like a really solid like moments with each other. And he's like, I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then what was it that finally put her over the edge? Because
it was the day of the play, and he's like, I don't want to do this. He shows up.
Put the ears. Yeah, you're going to be the cat guy. He was like, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. It's stupid. And she's like, you're going to do it because my whole family, my parents are going to be here. And he's like, no. And then she like tugs on him, and then she takes off his hat in front of the whole class, and everyone sees his ears, and he's just like, well, you cheated.
Yeah. Which the funny part is no one ended up caring that she cheated.
Yeah. No.
But like, after then like the ears go away on him, show up on her, and then she gets a horn in the back of her head, and then she gets like a squid robot from her body, and it's a very, very curious way she moves about in that form.
Yeah,
why so curious?
She attacked with her legs. So
she's like.
She does. Yeah.
And then the robot's there, and then they have another fight scene.
Yeah, this is when it was like, it was already kind of clear before, but this is when it's clear that people who are going through either embarrassment or shame, it's what's kind of triggering these things. But it was that moment that really like solidified it for me, because she does have this like blow up moment that causes her to turn into this thing, and then through their fight, that fight is also a really great fight. Which is
like popping a pimple, releasing pressure and tension. Huh?
Yeah. And speaking of popping pimples, instead of pus, there's curry inside.
And we know what that means.
Yeah,
spicy.
We do.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh, you don't know, Megan?
Okay.
I think Megan thinks diarrhea, and that's why she's acting that way.
No.
At the end, doesn't she say like, "Oh, I have to go"?
I think so.
Yeah. So that's not far off.
And that's kind of where I'm back in. That did feel like it had the most cohesive sort of.
And it unites at the end where she does the play and she's in glasses.
Yeah.
Like, she has glasses. She's like, these are fake.
She just sticks her finger through at the end.
Yeah, but why would she wear fake glasses?
For the character, probably.
Yeah.
But then why wouldn't she just wear her real? Because she doesn't want to show her
because
real
at
self.
the end of the day,
exactly.
And she's still immature, and she's still trying to. She's that didn't cure the fact that she is a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess
her parents get back together, and it's like, that's what happens.
That's what people wish for, huh?
Parent traps always work.
It's because of stories like this, that younger Josh really struggled, because they always get back together in TV and movies. So
they always work it out.
Yeah, they're gonna work it out in real life. No, they're just mad at each other.
Yeah,
right
they're just like having a little fight.
First of all, it's your fault.
Well, and then you go, it's not my fault.
But then you're like, it is my fault.
Yeah,
And then it's like, they'll get back together, but they'll just like constantly fight, you know.
About you,
like,
probably.
Yeah. You could hear it in the other room and you're like, fuck, it is. I mean, it is. If I wasn't here, it probably wouldn't
And then they
have
send you
happened.
halfway across the country.
Oh, I didn't get that one.
Oh, well, yeah.
Didn't get that one. But
I like curry.
I don't.
I like curry too.
I love spicy curry too.
Oh, I like spicy curry too.
Yeah. I think spice is a meme, and
You're a fucking meme.
Yeah, you're a meme, dude.
You did the Josh face right now when you smiled and you go.
Yeah, you're a meme. You're a meme lord.
No, that's Megan.
Megan's
the
a meme machine.
Megan's a meme machine.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, that's the third episode. The fourth episode we start finding
baseball.
Yeah, it's more baseball, and I think it's at this point too that we're slowly starting to find out more about what's her name again?
Haruko.
Haruko. We're finding out more about her, and we're finding out more about her through this like organization, this guy with eyebrows.
I really like this character a lot.
Yeah.
I really liked his voice in the dub. I thought it was super fitting, and I liked the whole interaction between the two. And it was just, he was like a really nice change of pace for the series. It felt more realistic and like, oh shit, there is something going on here.
Yeah, it finally felt like there was a plot that was developing. But also with the baseball storyline too, like she's training him to be a better baseball player because the baseball team that he's on used to be the team that his brother was on. They were winning all the time. Now they're losing all the time.
The neighborhood teams.
Yeah. They think that because they have him that he's going to be of some sort of help, but he's not. And she's on the other team, killing it on the other team.
Yeah, of course. She's like an alien. Like she even says like, I'm an alien, Matt. Like, and he's like, what are you really? And he keeps asking like, she's an alien. She said it. She told you.
I will say that this is episode 4, and this is where I finally started to get emotionally invested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was you see the dad and her kind of like fully cooly.
Well, it's because before they had such that touching moment where she's teaching him, and he's again, trying to be tough and like he doesn't care, but she's teaching him how to swing. She's giving him lessons, and he finally starts to seem like he's like lowering his walls a little bit. Mm-hmm. He finally seems like he's opening up to her, like he's allowing her.
Yeah, they're like friends. Like they're friendly now.
He let his guard down finally, and as soon as that happens, that's when he comes home and like his
dad's giving her chin massages.
Oh yeah, and he's like,
and this is when I'm like, and I turned the volume down because it's like, I was like, oh, this scene will be like over soon.
No,
it's getting worse. The noises are getting worse.
Yeah.
Just come outside. I wasn't watching anything weird, and then I go back in my room.
I mean, that's always you're kind of rolling a dice when you watch anime at a certain volume. And that's just how it is.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be like a touching moment of like a girl like just reading a book, and it's like. And you're like, stop, this sounds bad.
She's
like,
reading.
She's just you guys.
It emotionally hit her, so she gasped.
It's just, she gasping. It's the gasp there.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's bad.
Yeah.
But it was exactly that. And he's just like, he's pissed. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen him as mad as this episode when this is happening. Cause like,
I mean, this really captured to me, even though it was with his dad, which I think was maybe weird. It really captured the sense of like, jealousy, I think, better than a lot of other things do. Yeah. Jealousy, it like depicts people acting like really catty or whatever, but for whatever reason, the way it was portrayed here, like you could tell he was like really hurt by this,
disconnected.
Yeah,
like just completely like, I don't give a shit, I don't care about you, and I'm done.
Or that's how he reacted to it. But
that's how he showed. But it was like the looks are always like, we were supposed to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. She's like 20 years old or whatever. I'm like, did you actually think that you guys...
I mean, it is just weird that it's with his dad, but it did make me really, really feel for him because like, as a 12-year-old boy who's experienced, like, especially as a kid, when I was no, Cody, don't make that face. My dad didn't do anything. Has when I was younger, like, experienced a lot of jealousy because of like my own like insecurities or whatever. Like, I really connected with this character in that moment.
Because it's also what I was getting is like, I mean, it's that's probably not, they aren't like having sex, even though it comes across like that a lot. But it did feel to me like this is like when you have no experience, it is like, why are they doing that? Like, oh, that must be something.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think that plays into it, right? The fact that, yeah, you're reading into everything. Like, oh, why is she looking at him that way? You know, it's just like, that's the thing about jealousy. It's like these little things that sometimes you're blowing way out of proportion because
sometimes you blow under proportion.
And sometimes you blow under proportion.
And you should have listened to your intuition.
Yeah, sometimes you're right.
And that's what sucks.
And that's when it hurts the most. Yeah. And that's when no robots pop out of your head or nothing. You just got to like look at yourself in a mirror. And yeah.
Smash it.
Oh, yeah. Break it, yeah. And that's not Fooly Cooly.
No, that's...
What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah. Not Goody Baddie.
Goody Baddie!
Yeah.
Well, what's the opposite of Fooly?
Instead of a fool, I guess you would be smart.
Smarty
hottie?
Smarty hottie?
We'll punch it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Benchmark that.
Yeah.
Comment below.
Yeah, comment below. But it's it's a heart-wrenching moment, and then it kind of evolves. There, like him and his dad and her, like their sort of shenanigans get like more and more sexual.
Mm-hmm.
The massage thing was a little playful, but obviously she's moaning and making sexual noises.
Yeah,
but,
and then she's saying stuff like, "I'm gonna put it in now."
Yeah.
So it is like,
and then they're literally eating an egg from each other's mouths.
And he's always just walking in and be like, I'm not eating dinner.
Yeah,
and Dad's like, what? What's wrong? So that's where it's like either the dad is a psychopath, or that's not actually what's happening, and he's reading into it.
Yeah, and he, because of that, like, starts to cut her out, doesn't want lessons from her anymore, starts hanging out with the girl who's obsessed with his brother again, and by the way, everybody in this world is aware of what's happening. It's not a story where people are oblivious to these amazing things happening around them, but they are acting as if they're like more normal than they actually are, because how Haruko, right, gets the girl who's obsessed with his brother to go to the game, and she's like, oh, what's his name? The robot guy, Kanti, is going to be there. And she's like, oh, Kanti's going to be there? And then she like runs
leaves
to the
with him, and he's just like,
yeah.
No, they're both there. Fuck.
Yeah. And, Kanti, the robot, is also really good at baseball.
Okay, I wouldn't say really good at... He's just a robot that flies and catches the...
Which makes him really good at baseball.
Yes, both of them are, like, non-human, and they're, like, winning, and they're like, how is she doing this? I think she's just toying with us. I'm like, how do you not realize this person's not a human being?
But I'm just saying, like, he kind of embodies the things that his brother does, right? Like, and the girl's also obsessed with him, the robot.
Yeah, and he even says it.
Oh,
yeah.
He even says that Haruko reminds him of his brother with the swing when she hits the guitar. He's like, in that moment, I knew, like, I shouldn't have said it, but she reminds me of my brother, and I was like, oh. Okay.
And in this episode, they keep saying stuff like, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. You gotta swing. You gotta take the swing.
Yeah,
this is a lot because this is when he starts like becoming more assertive in his life too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's around the time that Eyebrows guy comes into the picture, starts accusing him, because you got to take that swing plays at the very end of the episode, that big moment. But what leads up to that is he walks in, he's fuming, this jealousy is rising and building, and it kind of happens out of order, where he has this like fantasy, or he like imagines
he has
his
like
dad.
a dream where he like beats his dad.
Yeah, where he kills his
dad
with the bat, and he's just staring at his dead body. And I was just like, did he actually kill him? I was like, rewatched it. I was like, oh my God, this took a dark turn.
Yeah. And then it actually happens. And then he gets questioned by the Eyebrows guy.
Yeah. He's like, did you hurt your dad? And he's like, no, I hit the TV. And he's like, oh,
you
smashed
your own TV.
Yeah.
He's more surprised about that.
Yeah. This guy's just like trying to get this thing out of him. And he knows that he's like in cahoots with Haruko-san. So he's trying to get Haruko-chan. He's trying to get that out of him too. And they kind of mention it, like, I kind of wrote this down because this is like the only kind of context we get of like the, like, why has the head thing. It's like right brain and left brain, distinct thought process to open up an interdimensional channel capable of pulling things through, sometimes from light years away.
Yeah, it's like the two hemispheres of the brain.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's how you can possibly maybe take that is, it does only work with him, but it's clear later on that, and she does do it to the detective guy and do it to other people, but like the results are not as like amazing as when it comes from him.
Because it's creativity.
Yeah, it's either creativity, imagination,
Exactly.
Conflict between the left and right brain.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Logic,
Yes.
emotion,
Which is what he's going through, which is what we all go through growing up, especially.
Yeah. And I do think that is a really cool way to show that. And he does reveal that he's part of this organization and that she's an alien. And I think that's when
And he's also like, so there's like the fantastical thing of him saying like there's like an agency and all that stuff. And also like, she's not worth it.
Yeah. He's like, older women, you can't get in. You can't
Yeah.
do that. You're just a kid. Like, don't get involved with her.
And what I feel like this guy represents, and he might, it might be more clear than I remember. But what I feel like he represents is not just because, later he gives him the eyebrows, but I feel like he represents like him as an adult. Like, this is what, you have, there's two paths converging right now or diverging right now. And if you walk down this one, like, that's who you're going to be.
Yeah. Cause the guy, like those eyebrows are fake.
Yeah.
And he says like, oh, it helps this idea of like masculinity for me. So it's like, this is an adult who still can't let go of trying to look more than something he's not.
Yeah.
And he kind of seems like he's had some experience with this person, Haruko, before, and almost like it does feel like she used him at some point, and now like she's on to the next thing, because he keeps telling her or him like, she's just using you, man. She's gonna throw you away. She doesn't care about you at all.
We all could have used this speech.
I mean, the thing is, I saw this and it didn't even click, when I was at that age. But yeah. And so I think he represents that, and he gives him the eyebrows, and then you see this change in him where he becomes, even more of an adult. He becomes more jaded, and he just starts acting, less like a kid, and he just feels like he's like he's acting like he's just clocking into a job every day. He's just got that sort of like mentality of like, yep, this is life, kind of thing. And
at the end of the episode, we see another fight, or like there's a meteor coming, or whatever the fuck it is, and he has to like hit it
when he finally erupts again, and and all the girls get nosebleeds.
Oh yeah, I like that. I was laughing. She's like, control manual, like controls are off, and they're all like bleeding profusely, and the other girl's like, oh my god.
They have like they have tissue in their nose in the next scene, and they're like, wow, that was a lot of power.
And the satellite, or whatever it is like a hand that throws like a ball, and he's there with his bat, and that's when she's telling him like, you just got to take the swing, but you have to do it on your own, like I can't help you. And she kind of leaves, and everybody's watching on the monitors like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna be? He can't do it. There's no way he could do it, and he does do it. And I feel like, as obvious as it might seem, like that is just sort of a metaphor for obviously just taking on things that are bigger than they, just like trying to overcome things, no matter how big they are, how impossible they seem, just taking that first step, right?
Yeah, and only you can take it.
Yeah. And then, but she does help him at the very
after he does it, then she joins in.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was like, if you don't do it, then
you have to make that first step.
Yeah.
And that's again why I go back and forth on like the meaning of this. Like, things do seem very clear. Some things do seem very clear.
And then she leaves.
Because
and he's like so sad.
Did we also talk about the pirate king, and have we been given that information at this point?
Yeah, I think it was towards the end of this episode actually, where they like mention how she like loves him, or like loves the being that is him, or
loves the idea of him?
The idea of the pirate king, something like that. I was like, pirate king.
What did happen before that was you find out what happened to the dad.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was still confused about that too. But.
So, yeah, because he eventually does. His dad is just like lying around all the time, and then there's like wires because he smashed it. The dad got smashed.
The dad got smashed, and he opens up the closet and he sees like his dead body like decaying.
Or just like, it looks like what you find out later is, I guess he's just like super dehydrated or something.
Yeah, but he admits like, I did die, or like I did die a little bit back there. I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like in a bathtub and he's putting water on him.
Now, what does that say?
Well, because he says like, I guess you did want your real dad after all.
Ooh.
When he rehydrates him. But there is like, because the dad we were seeing that was doing all that stuff wasn't the dad.
Yeah.
That was a robot that the girl made of him.
Mm-hmm.
So that line, like, I guess you wanted your real dad, or I guess you do love your real dad after all. Like, what specifically does that mean to you when you hear that? Like, what is that? Like, how does that apply to like real life then, with a relationship between a father and a son?
Bros before hoes.
Oh,
ultimately.
Perfect. Yeah. Whether it's your dad or your bro, it's bros before hoes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What? No, because then the dad still starts acting weird again after that.
Yeah, he's just a weird dad.
But he does start like being more insightful too.
Mm.
So if there was a thing where it's like, this is just if you wanted your dad to be more of a friend type character,
Yeah.
that's who that dad was acting. It was just like some guy who like lives with him. But then after that, he does start like giving advice and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so she does start expressing that she's in love with, or the guy starts expressing that she's in love with, there's this like pirate king and they're mortal enemies in space, and he's all powerful, but this corporation has captured him and she's trying to break him out because although they are supposedly mortal enemies, she's actually in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out later in the last couple episodes, or the last episode, that it's not quite that necessarily. But either way, now we're given a little bit more information about like where she comes from and what she's after. And everybody keeps saying too, like Kanti is the name of, I guess, the god. But whether that's the name, is that the name of the robot or the pirate king, who are also kind of one and the same?
Pirate king is named like
Flamps. It starts with an A or something.
Adams
or something.
Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kanti's just the robot guy.
Yeah.
The robot.
That's the one of the big thing at the end is like because it takes on a red form when he like merges with the robot, but that's the color of the of Adamus.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we forgot. I don't know. Yeah, we forgot to talk about the whole game thing with Mamimi. Mimi.
Oh yeah, the game she plays.
The game she plays.
This town was taken over by an evil god, and you have to burn down the town, and that is like
she's just an arsonist.
Yeah,
right.
And because she got bullied, that's how she met the brother. Is she got bullied a lot, and it's sort of implied she burnt down her school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
She has all the cigarettes
and
lined
her
up.
Brother, the brother's the one who like was like got her out of the fire, and that's when she like developed her like obsession.
And he has trauma from that. He keeps having like flashbacks. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like he's a kid just watching shit burn and people being in trouble. I was like, oh, okay. That was interesting. I was like, oh, I get she is a crazy person.
Yeah, well, there was a shot of like, where she gets mad about something and then she like drops her game and picks up a cigarette. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like that is a thing when you're a kid. You're like, oh, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to become an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And speaking of her, the next episode does follow her a lot because, there was this huge... I think it's this episode, right, that she starts feeding this little circuit board thing?
I think that's the last one.
That's the last episode 5 starts where... Because now that he's got the brows and stuff and he took the swing, he's like being a lot more like...
cocky, confident.
Yeah, and like trying to like get her... He's like, I know you like me. Yeah. And then they kiss...
Or he tries to kiss her.
Yeah.
And she's like, she pulls back. She's
yeah,
like,
no, yeah. And he's like, I love you. And then she's just like, gives him this look. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, he kisses
Haruko.
Or she kisses him, I think.
Yeah.
After that, then that's like the final thing for him to be like, I know you like me. I love you. And then she's like, I don't.
Yeah, because he's like, he's having this internal sort of conflict because I guess he does feel for her, Haruko, but doesn't want to.
Yeah, because when she leaves, he's like, like he was like trying to be an adult. Everything's dull now. Nothing matters. And then she comes back and then the manga scene happens again. Yeah. And then he like really like cries. Like he's like, you left me. Like, why did you leave? It's kind of like it reminds me of what's that one movie with that like imaginary friend? It's like something Drop Dead Fred. Oh. Like she's like dependent on this character that's like so wacky and so crazy, but it helps him like not realize like his real life because she's so like she just opens so many crazy and wacky doors. Distraction, yeah, totally.
That's because one of the times he's like, what are you? Who are you? And she says she's the illusion of his feelings and representations of his adolescent heart. Yeah. So if it's like, what does she represent? She says.
Yeah, literally.
That's what she represents. Yeah.
That was a good moment, though. I was like, "Oh, he was so
because he's upset. He's saying that he doesn't even miss her and all these things. And then even when she does come back, he's trying to play it cool. But then there's that moment where he like buries his face into her, and he's just like,
crying.
"Why did you leave me?" And it's just like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
yeah. But also, yes, his friends are coming around asking him about this robot, that there's this rumor that it's him. And I don't know, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to look like this, but one of his friends who's like 12 has a job, and it just always looks like he has a drawn like goatee on or something. It's just like a thin pencil line that's going around his mouth. And the way I saw that was like he drew that on himself to make it look like he had a goatee.
Lips.
I mean, he has clear lips, but then he has this thin line around his lips. And
yeah, they're not supposed to work. They're like, we like managed to sneak this job in.
Oh, I think it's his dad's company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's his dad's like company, because you see that later with like the pickup truck. But yeah, they're always like driving around, and they're like, yeah, so I heard you're the one who did that. And he's
I heard
like,
you're like a robot guy.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Whatever.
And then him and his dad are fighting for Haruko's love. And his dad is in a Nazi uniform.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's when they start playing like they actually shoot guns at each other. They're shooting each other.
At the end, it's implied those were like water guns.
Oh yeah, because she looks at the.
Because I thought it was either like air BBs, airsoft guns, but
Yeah.
then they show like the kids just have like water guns after.
I like that. That was fun.
But why the Nazi uniform?
I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is that's a full Nazi getup, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
Again, there's so many things that this series can mean. I mean, you can't. It's so hard to unpack everything. But that was just a thing I saw and was like, don't know.
Yeah,
why
and
that's there.
The only thing I got was like, because he's like, we're gonna fight over her. We're gonna do this game. But then it's like she's on, the kid's side.
His side.
So it's like if you're like, we're gonna fight for this girl's honor, we're gonna go into teams, and the girl's like, I'll be on his team. I think at that point you'd be like, all right, well, I guess I lost.
Yeah.
Right? I already lost then.
Yeah. And this is another episode that I really like too, because after all that happens, after the fight happens, that's when the guy, the eyebrows guy, he's like losing his eyebrows and all these things, and that's when like the facility has like broken in half at a certain point, and there's this like and now the bottom half of it is gone and the top of it is on the ground, so now it's even more clear that it's an iron, and there's this like hand that
came up, and now there's like constant fog surrounding the city.
Yeah, because as it starts to like
steam.
Well, there's that one shot of that monster or creature coming out, and it's another like really phallic sort of looking thing, and it's just this giant, sort of like fleshy, cylindrical thing that's like coming out of I think him, or no, I forget who it's coming out of, but the eyebrows guy is there, and Haruko's like, I need your help. I need something from you. And then she reaches into his head and just pulls out like this like little tiny thing, which is also very funny.
Which it turns out, okay, so this character is like represents Josh.
Well, see, I thought that too, but not for that reason, because
I think this is the fourth. This is like the fourth episode that Cody is.
I know, but it was. I mean, how could I pass up that opportunity?
I know.
Well, no, because that thing actually ended up being pretty powerful. Yeah. She got a lot done with it, and honestly, she looked like she was really like happy with it. Yeah.
You can always like fake a look though.
But you can't like pretend to kill a monster like she actually.
You have a lot of practice.
I like how smoking my vape at right and you said that.
Yeah, if the monster is an orgasm, then she definitely got it. You know what I mean? Where, she had all the tools she needed. So, take whatever meaning you will from it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fully coolly. I mean, anything can happen.
Coolly, yeah. Everybody's a king. And
Everybody's a king!
But what is interesting and what I really liked about this episode is that he's bragging about... And he's not a braggadocious guy, but he's finally he's finally feeling confident and cocky and all these things, and admitting like, all right, yeah, it is me. And he seems to kind of admit it a little reluctantly, and he's a little shy about it, but he's also like, I guess I deserve this, clout or whatever. And what's so funny is that they see at the very end this fight between the machine and the other bigger monster, and Kanti, I guess is his name. And then he shoots a bullet out, and then you see this red orb go into this billboard, and then the fight's still continuing. And then at the very end, that bullet or whatever that is, it like cools down and it falls, and it's him.
Mm-hmm.
So you find out that he's not piloting it, that he's just like, it's kind of like ammo.
Vessel.
When it absorbs him, it uses him as like a conduit. He's not the red robot. That is Atomisk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
that's a thing of like what Haruko?
Yeah.
What she loves is not him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she never really cared about him, which is a thing that you can
In
see pop up in Chainsaw Man.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the parallels a little bit, especially in its like wackiness and messaging and themes too. But I just love that imagery because even me, the viewer, thought that he was this robot or he was like fused with this robot, and to see that it could be that on its own, and he was just like you said, this conduit.
And
like,
she was using him.
Oh yeah,
Eyebrows was right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it happened. Next episode, I was like, oh wow, yeah, she's showing her true colors now.
Yeah, which
she is an alien that does not give a shit about anything that happens to this city or per people.
Yeah, which takes us to the finale. Where all of it kind of comes to a head, and her true colors show, and she does admit that she's just wanting to use him for his power. Like, I think even Atomisk, like she's saying that she doesn't even really like. People have it like maybe confused. At least this is what I remember, that she doesn't actually like, she's not in love with him. She's in love with his power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she just wants his, because when he gets the power, she's like, that was supposed to be me. Or
yeah.
whatever. And she freaks out.
Because he was supposed to help her. And then at the very end, he's like, you know, Eyebrows guy's like, look, like she's just using you, like don't go to her. You're just kind of like staying there, and then he turns to her.
The guy's just giving him sound advice throughout the entire fight. He's like, she's using you. She's not good for you. Leave it.
Yeah. Well, what took us up to that point, by the way, in that final episode, is the girl who was obsessed with his brother. I keep forgetting her name.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Something?
She finds this little circuit board that, I'm assuming came from one of the monsters that was fought in that previous episode, and she starts feeding it like a dog.
Also named Takun.
She names it Takun, yeah.
She names the cat Takun.
Yeah.
She names, yeah.
'Cause
Obsessive
now-
person.
Very obsessive.
Because now the boy, he stops hanging out with her after he,
Gets back with Haruko.
and tried to, confess his feelings.
Yeah.
And he sees her
he
like
suddenly
bummed out and by herself, and people go like, "There's your girl," and he's like, "Nah, she's not my girl."
He literally was like, "Let's go to a cafe," and she's like, "Why are you doing this?"
And
And
he
it's
like-
the idea of him.
Well, it's him doing like
brother.
what he thinks an adult would do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's like, drag her, like, we're going to do this, and I'm going to confess to you, and we're going to do blah, blah.
No.
And then, no.
Yeah. And so she names the robot Takun and starts going around.
Oh, yeah,
town.
there was a thing, because she calls him, like, because when it was like, I'm going to save you, and then she's like, Takun, save me, and he's like, it's not my brother, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
He finally freaks out about it.
Yeah, and she has a revenge list that she's going around, and she's stealing phones from the high school to feed this thing, and then she moves on to motorcycles and cars, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, much like you think that, revenge will, feed the beast within you.
Ah.
And all it really does is create a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of deep meanings here.
A
and,
terminal.
I pick up on all of them. But yeah, and this monsters, that's what causes the fight and everything. And that's why the big monster from the previous episode has left behind the hand with the hole in it. And he has to like fill that hole with this. And again, it does feel as random as it's being explained. It's not that like, I think we're doing a pretty good job so far of explaining everything. But then the hand like picks up the iron.
And I think Eyebrow says like, that's too obvious.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they show like what that's dealing with, and he's like, that's too on the nose.
Iron out the wrinkles.
Yeah, around this point is when they start just breaking the fourth wall all the time. But yeah, they say like, you need wrinkles in your brain. She's gonna iron them out, and you're not gonna be able to think. You're just gonna have a flat head. He's just yelling like the point of like their relationship at him. And he's
and again, that part of it did feel a little Kill la Kill to me too. I don't know what about it, but they're just like master plan just felt like very similar on its scale, I guess, in the way it was like executed. But yeah, and so
and like after when he gets the eyebrows, that's when he starts drinking black coffee and stuff, and he's like, I'm an adult.
Yeah. And this guy is, I think, really is looking out for him and being like, come on, man. Like, I don't make the same mistake I did. You know what I mean? And he does feel like he's trying to help him.
Yeah.
And, he does not want to hear it. And like I think all of us don't want to hear it when something like that happens. We go against everything we're told. And more often than not, like, we're shown that they were right. And this is where she reveals that she does not care about him at all. She cares about power. She wanted that power for himself. She needed to use him to get that power. And that she was using him the whole time, and her plan kind of backfired.
Mm-hmm.
And she's being, all of a sudden, we've never really seen her this way, but she's being like very mean.
Mm-hmm.
She's being very mean. She's being aggressive, and she's treating him like she's never treated him before.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because they show like the reason she went for his dad is she was trying to get portals into everyone's head.
But none of their heads worked except for his.
Yeah, so it wasn't like, oh, you were the first person I saw. It was like you were just the most successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Experiment.
Yeah.
Which can kind of play into maybe how some people, not all people, but some people are looking what they can gain from a relationship more than like actually like being with somebody for who they are. Like, what can I get out of this situation? Whether it's, clout or money or anything. Just if they can, use whatever position the other person is in to gain something.
A facade.
Yeah, and they're just lying and doing whatever they have to do to get that. And ultimately there's this big fight, and again, all of this finale happened so fast, and there was so much going on at once. Like, it's kind of a blur to me how like it finally was resolved.
Yeah, he gets his like upgrade of like embracing, like asserting himself, I think.
Yeah, the pirate whatever,
The
like
pirate
finally
king.
goes over him, and he's like glowing red, and he has the mark on his head.
So he's actually fighting Haruko now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's no longer she has all the power and everything. He's fighting back, and then it is like very well done, but then he emerges from the robot and just tells her that he loves her.
Yeah, and she's like, it's
Yeah.
so random.
Yeah. But it is him, I think, finally being honest, especially like earlier in the episode when he's like, don't call me that nickname anymore. Like, he's finally standing up for himself. He's finally like being honest and open, and he's finally not like running away from all these things.
And he finally, the big thing is to finally just say what you how you feel.
Because everyone is like, no, like he's like, I don't like her. Like, why would I don't like her? He says like so many times. Everyone's like, you like her, and even Mimi's like, you like her. Just when did you start liking her? Like, just say you fucking like her. And then he says it, and then everything is just like, freaking the whole town is obliterated. And she just gets on her little Vespa, and she's like, hey, why don't you come with me? And he's just like, she's like, actually, never mind. And then
You're too young.
Yeah, you're too young for this. Why don't you grow up? Maybe next time. And then she drives off into the space, and he's just left with the fallout.
Yeah, and he's like, nothing exciting ever happens in this town.
And then it happens. Yeah, it happens.
And I do think that we are seeing, and this is why I do like saving our conversations for the podcast, because like I do come to understand more of it as we talk, and I do tend to. I remember watching it and feeling, there were things I loved, but feeling a little like indifferent about it. Like I didn't know how I felt, and then as I'm talking to you guys, I do realize that like there's all this absurdity, all this chaos, all this everything, and then that like to punctuate it at the end by saying like nothing exciting ever happens in this town is like, this is like the mind and the world of a 12-year-old, dude. Like, this is like nothing. That's not in the grand scheme of things. Like, what really happened or what that's representing is not a out of the ordinary thing. But when you're 12 years old and you're dealing with all these emotions and these feelings, it just feels fucking crazy.
Yeah. And at the end, like he just starts hanging out with his peers again.
Again, yeah, he never really did. They were kind of just like on the outskirts and always like trying to talk to him, and he was kind of like, I don't want to hang out. I don't want to do a school play, even though everyone wants me to. Like, fuck all these people. I'm gonna be an outcast because
hang out with older girls.
Yeah, just feel like an adult.
I don't like these drinks, blah blah blah, and also like he becomes a theater person. So it is like, his brother was into sports and he tried to do that. That robot that came out of his head was really good at sports, but at the end he was like, I'm gonna do theater. I'm gonna do my own thing.
And maybe the robot, it might be a stretch, is sort of like a representation of just like being an autopilot.
Maybe it's a projection.
A projection.
TV head.
I like mine more.
Okay, well, vote.
But yeah, and that's kind of where the series ends. And again, like as I talk to you guys about it, like I do come to appreciate it a lot more and understand it. I feel like a lot more.
There was just a thing where they show his teacher was trying to show people how to use chopsticks, and like she's the only one who doesn't know how, and like that's a sign of maturity over there. If you don't know how to use chopsticks, you're seen as childish because you should. It's like not knowing how to tie your shoes.
Yeah, and I guess maybe what that is showing, and it does seem that it's also at other points showing that, like, nobody really knows what they're doing. Like, everybody's kind of just, like, figuring it out. Everybody's making their own.
Yeah, like, even though you're an adult doesn't mean you know everything.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever knows anything. Everyone's just fucking doing this till we meet our end.
Yeah,
that was a Cody line.
It's true. It's like it's fuck you don't want to figure out anything. It's just you do your best, and everyone is just doing their best, and that's all life is.
Yeah.
Dude,
Cody's just getting to you, Megan. I'm so sorry about that.
She can't use chopsticks, and everyone's like, we just use sporks anyway, which is like that's like our childish instrument.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the spork is better.
Oh, yeah, it just got a bad rap, dude, yeah.
Like, it is the superior utensil, but it is, like, childish.
Why are there only plastic sporks? Give me a metal spork.
Honestly, if you make a spork with a serrated edge, I mean, that's it. That's every utensil.
Yeah, but then you can't make money selling multiple utensils as capitalism.
That's the moral. Yeah, that's the real moral.
Yeah, fully coolly means capitalism. Subscribe to the Patreon. Because we're fighting capitalism.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But I really did enjoy this series. Like I said, especially talking it out with you guys. It is more clear to me what it represents. I do feel more connected to it. When I watched this the first time, years and years ago, it had to be when I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school. Like, I had no idea what this series was about. And truthfully and honestly, if I'm being real, I remember being so confused that I just did not like it.
I mean, if you want to bullet point this story, it's like he suddenly starts having all these thoughts and ideas in his head that like make him like start acting differently. He starts seeing girls differently. He eventually tries to like ask out a girl who like has been like kind of like aggressive towards him. And then like when she says no, he like he confesses how he feels and everything, and then he moves on and he just goes back to just trying to be with his friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is a really, really, and now I understand after all these years of just like feeling a certain way I felt after only having seen it once. Now watching it again, I really do understand everyone's appreciation for this series, and I understand why it is so important. And that's just from a story point of view, but also just from an animation point of view and an art point of view. Like this is like a piece of art. I mean, it really, really is. The way everything is portrayed is just really, really well done. And I just want to know your guys' like sort of final thoughts and opinions about the series as a whole.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched it as an adult and not as a child. I don't think I would have appreciated it as much as I did. And when I was younger, of course, I was like intaking all these anime that I'd never seen before, and it was like a new experience for me. But now I have like you said, like it's more of an appreciation for what it is versus just watching it and maybe like thinking this is how it goes, because it is very like I said, like the most anime of all animes. Like it's very Looney Tunes. It's insanity. If you don't like insanity or anime in general because of that, you won't like this. But I did appreciate all the themes and stuff, and again, we really dissected it and we're like, this is this for this reason and this is this. But I do like watching things that you don't necessarily have to have all of those meanings. You don't have to look into it hard enough. Like it could be just a stupid joke that you don't time. Yeah, it's just like you can have fun watching things. You don't have to be super critical, and I think that I like that about our podcast in general, like how we can just watch things and then take them and not be like critically, and it's just like it doesn't need to be that. And this is exactly a representation of that. You can watch it and then look back and be like, oh, this probably meant this or this probably meant this, and how you interpret it differently and how you interpret it yourself is, I think, what the true meaning of Fooly Cooly is.
Wow, Megan. Cody, what about you?
I liked it. No, this is I like the soundtrack and everything. This is like a really cool story about, growing up.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I just want to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. Like, if anybody is on the fence about it, yeah.
Mimi, by the way, she like becomes a photographer and leaves town.
Yeah.
Also, I think she was a runaway.
Yeah. I mean, he ran away at some point and he was sleeping in cardboard.
He was kind of
he was homeless.
He ran away with her. Yeah.
Threw everything away.
There are inevitably going to be things that we might brush over, but it's all the more reason for you to experience it for yourself. And I think we would all suggest checking it out if you haven't already. And like Megan said, like you don't have to feel all this pressure to dissect it and understand it. And hopefully this conversation does help. And again, maybe there are things that we misinterpreted or missed, or there could be many things. But that's why it's important for you to comment and let us know what you think about this series, what it meant to you, if you watched it when you were a kid, if you've watched it recently, if you haven't watched it, or if you decide to watch it because of this video. And if you want to see us do more anime deep dives like this for more of our bonus episodes, then let us know. And let us know what's are some series that you'd like to see. But that's probably going to do it for our Fooly Cooley discussion, season 1 discussion. Because this is a bonus episode, there's going to be no Winter Circle this episode, and I'm so sorry about that. But that's all the more reason to tune in for the next episode, where we will be addressing some of those comments.
Yeah, and let us know if you like these season 1 reviews of anime, not just manga related things, because it's definitely it could be so much different than any source material. Like Cody said, the source material for this is completely different. It was received differently, so it is interesting to talk. Source material. I mean, no, the manga. Oh. Yeah, like I don't know what came first. It was like the manga, right? And
this came first.
This came first, and then the manga.
I have said
he said that multiple times.
Oh, you did?
Multiple.
He actually got really mad about it in our group chat too. Yeah,
because I kept saying.
No, he did.
I kept saying.
Yeah.
And then I said it again, and you're like, "Yeah, the manga." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, you're kind of playing into the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my God! Stop! I'm gonna overflow.
I'm gonna overflow.
It's just I just say something. It's like they're like, "No," but the opposite of that. I said the thing like it's.
But and yeah, like Megan said, let us know because
just keep doing it.
We do enjoy doing this, and it is something a little different. But yeah, let us know some series that you'd like to see us maybe talk about. Other than that, before we go, we have to thank and shout out all of our wonderful, amazing Patreon members. You guys are the best. You guys are amazing and awesome, and we really do appreciate all of our new Patreon members. Thank you so much for joining. We are just so eternally grateful. And we're going to keep giving you guys access to as many things as we can. Depending on the tiers, we also have, I think for every tier actually, we have access to an exclusive bonus Patreon podcast, which is like a peek behind the curtain and something we record at the end of our Volume 1 episodes. So if that interests you, that's part of the lowest tier. We also have like physical rewards and all kinds of things. But we appreciate everybody who is supporting us by joining the Patreon. And if you want to join the Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/volume1pod. And we also do appreciate everybody supporting by watching, liking, subscribing, commenting. That helps us out a lot. Shout out the Algorithm Gang.
Algorithm Gang. Holding it down.
Yeah. And all those things, you could do for free, and we appreciate all of it. And we appreciate you for watching and listening. All we got to do now is get out of here on our outro. It's always the same and never changes, which today...
I don't know. I
thought you were going to say footy cootie.
I figured we would just do that.
Yeah, I figured we'll just do that too.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time,
footy cootie. Your head is the only one that works. I know.
It's like it's solid.
Yeah, you're really good.
Solid. It's crazy.
No, it's really good.